Lawmakers resumed on the first day of plenary amidst significant level of anticipation for the screening of the president's ministerial nominees. After an hour, an announcement postponing the exercise was published to allow the nominees more time to complete documentation. The Deputy Senate President, however, used the opportunity to express concern over the protracted power outage in the north.
The area that electricity is taken to the northern part of the country was vandalized by terrorists, and it has become a problem for the TCN staff to get to where this occurred, to get it restored, because that area is being occupied by terrorists. What is being done now is that the security agencies are putting their hands together to get to that spot and try to eradicate or take away the threat.
Still on the power situation, the Senate Committee on Power invites the Minister of Power for an explanation.
The bandits are also threatening the contractors that we sent to fix it, which is why we sought help of the NSA and the other security agencies. So, with due respect to the Senator, the northern blackout was not due to technical grid collapse. It was vandalization. And we have explored alternative routes of supply power, which is the Bauchi route, which was also vandalized anyway, but that one is easier to fix. And we are saying within the next 2 to 3 days, there will be light restored to the north.
The Senate committee expresses an intention to continue to probe and compile its report with the assistance of the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
All right, so these are some of the issues we're going to highlight this morning. The challenge with the power sector, the collapse, I think they say within 72 hours. So let's see. We've got Mr. Prince Olukore here with us. He's in the energy sector policy analyst expert. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Well, you've been in this for a while, this particular sector. So from what the minister has said, how do you, when you listen to the explanation that the minister gave, because many were looking to see, so first, they don't understand why this happened in the first place, because they thought we should have seen this coming. So for you, are you surprised?
I'm not surprised. I'm rather worried. This is the 8th grid collapse this year. Nobody has been sacked. No investigative panel to find out why these incessant grid collapses. But then, these infrastructures are located in communities. If they're located in communities, vandalism is a crime. Extortion and exploitation of the consumers is a crime. Section 204 to Section 224 of the Electricity Act 2023 is on penalties and offenses. It has provisions for protection of this infrastructure. There's a punishment for vandalism. There's a punishment for meter theft. There's a punishment for anyone that is seen selling electrical infrastructure that is vandalized. How are they implemented? What is the position of the Power Ministry on this? What is the relationship between the Ministry of Power and the local government councils? What is the relationship between TCN and the local government councils and state government? What is the relationship between Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and the state governments and local government councils? Why am I asking these questions? The local government council chairmen are the chief security officers of the local government councils. And under the local government councils, you have the communities, community leaders there. Now, if there is no synergy between the community leaders, the local government council, TCN, NEC, and Ministry of Power, or even the state ministries of power, you can't see peace and you can't see secured infrastructure. And this has been the problem with the sector. And we've been saying it all the while. Why will NEC, for instance, move from Abuja to Kano with 44 local government areas? You lodge in a 5-star hotel at the state capital and move into the hotel hall in the morning and say you've done enlightenment and you leave. How is it sustained? How do you take this campaign or this effort to the local government councils where these infrastructures are located? it becomes a problem. But the fundamental issue here is the need for justice, the need to check corruption in the system, the need to bring in transparency and accountability in the system, the need to ensure that substandard materials are not used for installation purposes, the need to know that it is people with competency certificates that carry out electrical installations. For instance, Nigerian Electricity Management Services Act of 2015, NEMSA Act 2015, in section 6M, says it is a crime for anybody without NEMSA competency certificate to carry out electrical installation. But today, the people that carry out installations are people without the competency certificates. It's even funny that staff of discos, distribution companies, who should be there to ensure that these equipments are okay, take over contracts. They struggle for contract with the Licensed Electrical Contractors Association, their members, and then who will monitor? It is expected that when the electrical contractor is given a job, the disco should be able to monitor and see whether it is good enough to serve the area.
Have you made, you've made some statements right now, that would indict a lot of people.
Of course.
Have you made a formal complaint about these things to the minister's office, for instance, so something can be done about this?
Yes.
What happens when you send
let me give you this. When the Senate Committee on Power held public hearing on tariff increase, I was there. I made a presentation, and I asked the minister. He was present. I asked, who handles consumer issues in the ministry? How do Nigerians contribute to what the Ministry of Power is doing? Because Section 14(2)(c) of the Constitution says participation of the people in their government shall be ensured. And if the participation of the people should be ensured, these people are the consumers. Under the Ministry of Power today, you have a department on transmission, you have on generation, you have on distribution, none for consumer protection. And Section 119 of the Electricity Act 2023 is on consumer protection and licensee performance standards. How do this come into this issue of grid collapse and problems we are talking about? Take, for instance, the metering policy in the sector. I had asked the minister, I had even written a letter to him. Even when they had the African Energy Marketplace, I raised the issue there. He called up a director and said they should work with me. Since then, I think sometime in April or May, till now, we had one meeting and nothing has come forth since then. But let me tell you this. We need to tell ourselves the truth. As a Christian, the Bible says, thou shalt know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The level of extortion from consumers in the sector, the level of lack of transparency and accountability cannot encourage communities to protect infrastructures. What do I mean by that? In 2018, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission came up with a policy, meter access provider. Under that policy, when a consumer pays for meter, he's supposed to recover his money through energy credit. The question now is, among the 11 distribution companies, how many consumers paid for meter under meter access provider? And how many have been refunded? Number two, in 2020, 2 years after, the NEC and the ministry, they came up with what they call National Mass Metering Program, which 200 billion naira was provided for. And it was to be implemented in 3 phases. The pilot phase, 59 billion naira, was distributed to the 11 discos. As I speak with you, between 2020 and 2024, only 7 billion naira out of that money is paid back. What happens to the rest? And nobody hears about that policy anymore. What happens to the 3 phases that were to be implemented? The minister has not told Nigerians. Yet the minister is now saying that government has procured 1.8 million meters. Under what condition? Now the question is, who benefited from these meters under that 59 billion naira was brought out for? And the most painful and worrisome is that in every bill you and I pay today, a certain percentage is for meter acquisition fund. What is meter acquisition fund? When the consumer is paying for the meter, you still have meter acquisition fund as part of the bill. On top of this, a percentage of the bill we pay today, the discos requested for tariff increase. And the tariff increase they requested, they said one of the reasons was for them to get money to pay back the loan, the 59 billion naira loan. So you and I are paying for payback of a loan we never benefited from. Now, who gives account on how many meters we are distributed to Nigerians under National Mass Metering Program? Who gives account as per how many Nigerians are paid for meter under the meter access provider? This is on metering. Go backward again. There is what they call CAPEX and OPEX. CAPEX is capital expenditure. OPEX is operational expenditure. NEC, the regulator, approves this for the discos every year. Now, go and do study. How many transformers are functional? How many do the communities provide and how many do the distribution companies provide? And then what is the community investment in the power sector? Most communities in Nigeria today, they bought their transformer, they bought their pole, they bought their cables, they paid for it to be energized, and the distribution company will not put in 1 naira. Well, now, if you're a community leader or you are part of the community that has paid all these monies, and the distribution company did not put 1 naira, and after it has been connected, they bring bills, estimated billing, that is not justified. Will you be happy?
So the thing is this, I mean, so for some of the issues you raise, starting from that of the community, when you say what is community's involvement, they buy this, they buy that, but we also know that according to the laws, even NEC provisions, they've instructed the consumers, do not do this. That the procedure is, it is those discos that are to provide you those facilities. Where they refuse, you can, after complaining to them, if they refuse, you can petition NEC. Those are expressly stated. We've had NEC themselves say this to us time and again. Can we then say community should be investing or they have a role to play according to the laws?
If I'm a regulator,
yeah,
and I have the responsibility of regulating the discos, if I make, there's what they call network expansion investment policy. That's what we are talking about here. NEC came up with network expansion investment policy, which entails that before a third party invests, he has to discuss with the distribution company so that they can recover their money. But the question is, you've made this law. Are the consumers aware?
No, no. I think that there are two things. The policy, yes.
Yes.
But what you're talking about, if a transformer or any part of any of those power infrastructure within a community is not functional, usually transformers, do you consider that as part of the network infrastructure investment? It's supposed to be disco to provide those transformers.
Now, that is where the OPEX I talked about comes in, operational expenditure. That operational expenditure that is approved by NEC for them is
for the
expected
discos.
Is expected to be used to take care of those things. But where you don't take care, the community comes to you. They are not even enlightened to even understand what the policy is.
So but that's another different thing.
Of course.
It doesn't then mean that, you know, if they are not enlightened, you know what they say about ignorance of the law, it's not an excuse. It doesn't mean that the law requires them to do that. They are not supposed to do that.
But let me even ask you.
Ideally,
let me even ask you, is there need for research? If you have a policy, if you are NEC...
How is that connected to...
It's connected. Because if you're saying ignorance of the law, this NEC is set up to regulate the discos. And if they are regulating discos, before they came up to make the pronouncement that anybody, before you invest, you need to find out.
No, I think I'm not... Maybe the words you use. Do you consider that investment? Because if my transformer is bad, the law does not require me, the consumer, to fix it. So how does it come under investment on my part when we know it is the disco's responsibility to do that?
Let me now tell you why. If it is the disco's responsibility,
isn't it?
Where it is, and the transformer in my community is bad. I stay for 1 month, no light. 2 months, no light. 1 year, no light. And I go to the disco. The disco tells me we have no money to do it. Now, will I remain in darkness? Or will I now go and find a way to invest in repairing it so that I can have light? If I now invest money in repairing it, what do you call that? It is operational expenditure that the discos would have done. Now the question is, where is the account of utilization of the operational expenditure approved for the discos by NEC? So because that is approved every year. What do they use it for? And how do you try to find out whether they were actually used or not?
So here's the thing. We know that things are not as efficient and functional as they ought to be. Of course, we know there are several cases, a lot of cases, consumers usually bear this brunt. But I didn't get the explanation from you in your opening sequence that communities had done all of this, they had fulfilled all of these things, and then Discourse or NEC did absolutely nothing. In most cases, people don't just want to, they just go ahead and do that. Is that not what happened?
Let me tell you, this was why last week, Thursday and Friday, my association worked with the House of Reps Committee on Safety Standards and Regulations. And what we tried to look at is safety issues in the power sector. These issues came up there. And then we brought Orientation Agency to speak on enlightenment and awareness. Policies of government, people deserve to be enlightened on those policies. But when you keep them in the dark, many consumers don't know. It is the advocacy of the civil society that even began to push that this information is now being made public. To say, look, don't invest until. But must the civil society talk before we demand accountability on the use of, we are talking of OPEX now. What about CAPEX? Capital expenditure. When a community begins to, like in Abuja here, there's a community around airport. They've invested 9 million naira. They brought letters to me. Letters they wrote 2 years ago, requesting that their transformer was bad, for it to be repaired. Nothing was done. Until they've not rallied around, contributed 9 million naira.
Did they write NEC?
They did. I have the letters.
And the petition?
They did. I have the letters.
What was the response from NEC?
No response.
From NEC?
No response. This is why you see that even 3 weeks ago.
Which disco was this?
Abuja Disco. 3 weeks ago, the Public Complaints Commission, FCT, had a program on consumer complaints resolution. They had a workshop on electricity consumer complaints resolution. Why was it done? Many communities for 2 years, 3 years have written complaints. And not I have written. And I can tell you that if you look at these issues, until we look at the power sector and the institutions under the power sector, stop doing it government to government.
Okay, so
and face the reality.
Help us reconcile the whole thing. How does this affect or connect to the non-availability of power supply up north?
Let me tell you, quality of supply depends on quality of materials, quality of capacity of the installers, quality, in fact, monitoring, effective monitoring. I tell you now, some transformers are connected to the grid at the weekends without adequate supervision. Why? Well, they invite Licensed Electrical Contractors Association. Let them talk to you. Invite Association of Rural Electrification Contractors. They were all at the conference last week. Now, ask SON, ask Customs. How do substandard materials find their way into Nigerian markets? You could hear the minister say transformer blew up. How did it blow up? Rural Electrification Agency, the transformers they provide, what is the quality? Now you see a situation where because the communities are left to solve their problems, some people go and buy a refurbished transformer. And when you put refurbished transformer and it blows up, it affects supply.
I mean, looking at the power sector and everything that you mentioned, it's a many-layered problem.
Yes.
But I want to talk about the one that the minister mentioned. And it's one that in many ways could be the major issue. He said, it's not a technical, he said that the power supply issue in Northern Nigeria, it's not a technical issue, it is vandalism. Which means that we have a security problem. And even if, he said, I heard him say that even the people that are sent to fix this problem are being threatened by bandits. With everything that you've mentioned, even if we bring heavenly electrical equipment, the ones that were made in the heavens, and it is perfect, and everything is if there is insecurity, and bandits are still able to threaten people, and people are cutting down all of these things in the middle of the community, is there any way out of this problem? If we put this major factor in there, how can we solve the problem?
I had earlier told you that there is a penalties and offences section of the Act. And I had earlier told you also that I do not know the connect between the local government councils that are the chief security officers of the state, of the local government areas, where the communities are. And there's a disconnect between them and the power sector institutions.
Are you absolutely sure about that? Because many of them will be talking about all the sorts of, empowerment programs that they've done in the, community.
Last week,
town hall meetings,
my sister,
flyers, all the things that they've been doing. The buy-in of those communities. Are you saying that the ministry and the power sector in itself is acting in isolation, not in collaboration with local authorities?
We have always requested for the demand side engagement in the power sector. You don't engage World Bank and GIZ and engage USAID and engage European Union. And anytime power discussion comes, it's all about government. For crying out loud, they are there to serve the people. We are at the demand side of this sector. Last Friday, the Association of Local Governments of Nigeria, their president was represented, and he made it clear that the local government councils are not aware of whatever is happening in the sector. No engagement with them. That there is need for engagement with them. And all I was trying to explain to you people before was that where you perpetrate injustice, extortion, and violation of consumer rights, the community people cannot align with you. And it's because you don't want to address those issues. That's why you tend to leave them and think you can just do it the way you want. If we must address this, there has to be synergy, and there has to be justice and fair play. How do the communities, if World Bank put in 1 billion naira into the power sector today, it will be all over media.
Is that why there's vandalism?
It's not why. I'm not justifying vandalism. But what I'm telling you is that if the sections against vandalism are implemented and enforced, if they are complied with and enforced, it will be reduced. Who buys those things they vandalize? In the act, there is provision. If they catch anybody selling what is vandalized, the person is in trouble. If they catch you vandalizing, what is the program of the local government council to assist the Ministry of Power address this? The point I'm making here is that it's not the thing you talk from Abuja. Bring it down to the local government and the communities. Hear from the communities. I tell you something. If I feel justly treated, after all, who do those things serve? It's the community people. And if I feel recognized and that my role is important, I will be able to protect those things. They need to work with that. All I'm suggesting here is that the demand side engagement, the consumer engagement is of very serious essence in this. Because these consumers are in the communities. They know who is who. They can contribute in dealing with this.
Just hang on a minute. We need to go to break, and then we'll be back and continue our conversation. So don't go away. Welcome back to Sunrise 80. Well, part of what we did tell you was going to be happening today. We're keeping our eyes on the Senate. They are expected to screen some ministerial nominees today. Well, that was initially slated to happen yesterday. As a matter of fact, the ministerial nominee from Sokoto State did arrive at the National Assembly ahead of that screening yesterday. But unfortunately, well, you know what they say about that. So that's Mohammed Megari Dingyadi from Sokoto State. He did arrive. I think he's in labor. So he was supposed to have gone on, but for some reasons, that was rescheduled today. So these kind of scenario, of course, when they all arrive, we also keep you up to speed in terms of what happens at that time. But someone to have a look at some of the ministerial nominees that are expected to arrive this morning for the screening by the Senate. There you go. So you'd expect to hear from these lot what they're going to be
bringing to the table, what their qualifications are. And you know, it's a very important time, very pivotal in our history, really. Yeah. The fact that, you know, the president promised a reshuffling of his cabinet, whether that reshuffle was supposed to cut down cost or not, the debate is still on that one. But, you know, some ministers were dropped, new ones have been brought in. These are the faces who are going to be manning those ministries if they go through this screening process successfully. Who are they?
You don't think they will go through?
Well, let's watch. It's possible. Anything is possible in this country. But let's watch and see what happens, you know, with the screenings, and listen very carefully to them. We are in an accountability era in our country at this moment, where we have to get to where people cannot continue these holidays. They cannot continue to just be in office and take the perks of office and not deliver on what it is that they have been sent to do. It's our country. And I want to be able to get Mr. Okore's thoughts on that, really, because we are looking at new ministers. Is this the silver bullet? Are we going to get things right this time? You know, the way he said,
It doesn't mean power sector, but
the motto of my organization, Association for Public Policy Analysis, is upholding public interest in governance. That's our motto. I expect, we have written the essay to the president on policy matters, Bala Mohammed, requesting her to let us have performance report on the ministers, because when they were sworn in, they said there will be evaluation. You know, they need to really meet certain targets. How many ministers were able to meet their targets, and what were the targets? So
what she has said, what we've heard from her office, is that the changes that you're seeing is as a result of her report. But you still want the report. You want the hard copy for yourself.
No, there must be criteria for evaluating their performance. There has to be performance benchmark given to them. So if there is none, the new people coming, it's just like what we are saying here. Nigeria, public enterprises were being looted and mismanaged. Rather than identify the cost and punish the people that did it and let these industries continue, we shifted to privatization, thinking it will solve the problem. Now we are in trouble. The privatization, is it delivering? When we are talking about privatizing the oil sector, what we are saying is let's review the privatization of the power sector and see the successes and failures to know whether that of oil can be done. That hasn't been done. Oil is being handled the way it's being handled. Few people took subsidy. Their names we don't know. The power sector, owners of the distribution companies, we don't know till date. Who own the 11 discos? We don't know the name of their owners and how they are. So
you don't know the name of the board members?
I don't know. We are yet to know. And then we want to ask.
You don't know about Transcorp Power Holding?
My brother, the name of the company is different from the individuals behind them. Because if you look at what is happening.
So wait. How does the name of the individuals that own them affect the operations in terms of efficiency?
How it affects it is that we are in Nigeria, where we know that rather than follow the things the way it should be, the powers behind make it. Why is the discourse behaving as if they're above the law? Something is happening behind that you and I don't know. Why would they flout the rule of the regulator? Take instance now. If you bypass a meter now, the disco will punish you immediately. Well, but if they overbill you deliberately, you are told to write and wait for 15 working days. After 15 working days, you are told to go to NEC. And they even said that when you are challenging the bill, they shouldn't disconnect you. But they disconnect people with impunity. And look at the Act. That's why I raised this question. Section 217 of the Act, which is on these offenses and penalties. It talks about false declaration. If you declare falsely in the sector, your punishment is just 100,000 or 2 months imprisonment. But if a consumer confronts you as a staff of the disco, the punishment of the consumer is 6 years imprisonment and 2 million naira fine.
What do you mean confront?
For instance, you told me now that you are giving me life for 20 hours in band A, and I got only for 5 hours, and I don't even have meter. And you say there is grid collapse.
Wait.
During grid collapse, no light, no supply.
No, just a minute. You don't have meter. How do you get power if you don't have meter?
No, many people are given direct, estimated billing.
Yeah.
Majority are on estimated billing.
Yeah, but they still have meters.
No meter. Let me even tell you. I had taken a disco to NEC forum over lack of provision of meter on the transformer. Before this time,
are you talking about metering the transformer or their houses?
Metering houses and metering transformers.
So people have the discos give them direct supply without meters.
Yes, millions of Nigerians. I just told you
give
before.
Them bills every month.
Why is it that the national go and ask in your state? How many persons in your state benefited from the national mass metering program? 1 million meters that we are paid for with 59 billion. How many got it? Then why are the discos comfortable with direct connection rather than giving meters? And
because even in cases where they give meters, it's still estimated billing.
No.
Not no. Well, I've had meters.
How?
I had meter. Okay, so maybe you didn't fight my case as a consumer.
You didn't bring it to my knowledge.
We have had meter, and it was still not prepaid meter, the old meter at the time, and it was still estimated billing, and of course it was a big issue.
My brother, what is happening in this sector is too much. Let me tell you, my community in Imo, They told us we had to pay 5.8 million. We are owing. I challenged them to bring proof. No meter on the transformer. Of course, the whole community, nobody had a meter, the prepaid meter. No meter on the transformer. Now provide proof on how you arrived at 5.8 million. They couldn't provide proof. And then you saw that, but the real thing then under the Electricity Top Power Reform Act of 2005 is that before you are given estimation, the meter on the transformer should be read to know the quantity of consumption and use it to calculate an amount per kilowatt hour to give you your bill. But they were just sitting down and sitting out bills.
So the thing is this, people are not entirely helpless. I know a community, and they also made me know, in Lagos, in Lekki, an estate in Lagos, the disco had said that they were supposed to be on band A. But I think they put them either in B or C. But they were charging them as though they were in A. So eventually it was an association, that estate association, that came together and said, wait a minute, they then checked after several years and found out that this is what had been going on. The disco had to start begging. So groups also have to take up that responsibility and just look and ask questions, because you have a right to ask those questions and demand. So whether you confront them or not, but people have got to ask those questions of those people. So talking about the states, the law now says states can provide power. They have a way to come together and provide something. So what do you think is the challenge? Why are states not picking this up?
My brother, state electricity market is the in thing now. But let me tell you, if I'm an investor and I want to invest in your state electricity market, number one, what is the number of consumers in that state? To enable me know that I'll be able to make profit if I invest. Do we really have consumer enumeration that is realistic? When they tell you metering gap of 7 million, it's not true. What? Because there are the basic things that need to be done on the state electricity market. It's not enough saying you have given license to state electricity regulatory commission. How many consumers are in that state? How much bill is generated from that state? What is the investment of the state in the infrastructure? And what is the investment that the new entrants into it, the new investors, will be looking at?
Is that impossible to get?
Why are they not available now? That's the question I'm asking. Because if you want to say states get in, there are basic questions investors will ask. Just like when privatization was done, people jumped in, privatized. It has been done.
But if Abia State is able to do it, why can't other states do it?
Well, I don't know. You are the one asking me. I'm only telling you that state electricity market is something good. But there are basic things that need to be done. If a state has 20 local government councils, let me even ask you, do you know that in privatization, states we have to own 40% of the value chain? Why will a state be an owner of 40% and he doesn't know how much revenue is generated from electricity payments in his state, and he relaxes?
I want to be able to really open that up, because that's a very important question that Evelyn asked you. If in Abia State, Alex Oti was able to get that done in Abia State, what's stopping other states? Is there something that we don't know?
That is what I'm telling you. We need to do more investigation. Just you said people can take action. You know,
yes,
that is just like we've taken our own responsibility to enlighten the people and monitor the policy. We monitor the policy. That's why I'm giving you all this information I'm giving you.
People should speak up.
We engage in the sector. Like last week, we had 7 presentations and on different topics. And we are assembling our report. And that report will present to the committee on safety standards and regulations for them to look at the power sector and the cause of the problems. So when you look at all this, you will not talk less than I'm doing. You may even talk more than I'm doing here. Because what we are discovering is serious. A state states, some have Consumer Protection Council or committee. What do they do in ensuring that there is satisfactory power delivery to the consumers? To see that the payments consumers are making are in accordance with the law. And I don't understand. Because if you want to do, that's why I was saying the relationship with the local governments, the relationship with the state. The first thing to do is to review the act. Even though it said key in. How has the regulator been doing it up there?
What area of the act are they going to review?
My brother, Section 204 to 224, penalties and offenses, is screwed against consumers. I have mentioned one to you, that Section 217 on false declaration is only 100,000.
False declaration of power supply by the discos?
Yes, if a disco tells you now that you're on 20-hour supply and he gives you 5 hours and he wants you to pay and see if he gave you for 24 hours or 20 hours, is it not false declaration? So if, now the punishment for that is only 100,000 or 2 months in prison.
Assuming that happens, shouldn't we, because even if you review the law, NERC has to have the capacity to verify what they say they have outputted to consumers. Do they have that capacity? We need to address that, because even if you change the laws and you don't fix this part, well, I mean, it's still going to be hearsay.
So you see, all the information I'm giving you here, I know that NEC may be listening, many of them may be listening. Let there be a review on implementation of policy laws in this sector. Are they being complied with? Are they being enforced? Is the distribution company really obeying the regulations brought out by NEC? Why would they flout them? And then why would, like I've mentioned meter policy here that I told you, I think I expect you to be concerned as to why was 59 billion naira brought out for metering. How many got from your state? You are not interested in that. And you are pushing me other ways. Shouldn't you be interested? You should be interested to ask.
It's clear
how many persons got the meter in my state?
It's clear you don't understand.
Why is this?
It's clear you don't understand the role. We have to ask you questions. You really want to tell us the answer.
No, but the questions.
So forget about if you don't see concern on our faces. Just listen.
No, you are not taking the questions. The areas I expect you to.
No, you see that's the thing. I can't ask you the questions you think or expect me. Whichever questions consumers face, that's what we ask you.
Let us help.
What I think you're focusing on is the Charter of Service. And I think, yes, the Charter of Service, which is an area that even players in that sector have spoken about several times. Because if discos are expected to provide a certain amount of electricity, if that is not done, because it's both ways. It shouldn't just be to protect the suppliers themselves. Even though they tell you, of course, if you have to invest, it has to be profitable. Businessmen, they have to make profit. You do business, you want to make profit. That's given, but it has to be on an equal level playing field. So those are the issues that, yes, we expect to. But we started out by talking about, as we wind down, talking about the breakdown up north. So the concern that some people have also raised is this. Yes, the president said they should provide aerial cover to ensure that power supply returns, which the minister said yesterday in 72 hours, it will be done. So the question many did ask then, if that happens, they fix it and the supply comes, do we have enough? Have you seen any indication whatsoever that this would not repeat itself?
And that is what I have suggested to you. Multi-stakeholders engagement for protection of electricity infrastructure. That's my suggestion. And that's why I said there has to be a relationship, synergy between the local government council, the community leadership, the state, and then institutions of power, to really hear them out and see how the communities can take ownership in terms of protecting these facilities.
I mean, my worry really listening to because we know he said 72 hours. One of the things I'm worried about really is what happens afterwards. Community engagements take time. You know, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. And then getting the buy-in of the people to correct a lot of the issues that you've raised, genuine issues, that could be, you know, stopping the communities from actually caring about these assets in their localities. But, you know, that takes time. In the interim, what kind of out-of-the-box thinking should the ministry be engaging in right now? Because before they do these community engagements, it will take some time. What should they be doing in the immediate term?
Let me tell you, there should be a national power sector security summit.
A summit will take time again.
No, if it's going to take time,
after 72 hours, what should happen?
Madam, let me tell you, in that local government, there is civil defense there. There's a DPO there.
Okay.
There's a divisional police officer there. They have security meeting every week. I don't think it will take time.
Okay.
But what the ministry need to do is engage some demand-side representatives and the security agencies. For instance, you may be shocked to observe that some DPOs don't even know the provisions of this penalties and offenses section of the Act. If you don't prevent and you're only waiting to react when it happens, you can't solve the problem.
So an immediate consultation with the security agencies in those states in the north should be done immediately.
The Inspector General of Police the Commander General of Civil Defense Corps should immediately engage their people on understanding the provisions of that act and then letting the DPOs in those areas take proactive action. Engage, after all, every week, the local government council with the security officers in the local government, they have their weekly security briefing and security meeting. I don't think it takes time. If they, in their meeting, decide to say, bring community leaders, what is happening in this place? Okay. They are preparing this, which way forward? While that is being done, it has to be done in a holistic manner by the, as we speak now. What is the program of the Inspector General of Police on power sector security? What is the program of the civil defense on power sector security?
That's physical assets.
What is the program of the ministry on that? How do they engage? So these are things that need to be done. Then again, let me tell you,
your suggestion is to ensure that the existing infrastructure is given, at least secured. So are you not concerned about an energy mix? Because are we supposed to continue, just provide security, make sure this is not vandalized? There has to be an energy mix moving forward. Because we can't continue. I mean, yesterday our guest told us, this is not ring-fenced. That if they had ring-fenced it, you can have a back feed. So if there's vandalism, if you have the back feed, then it could bridge.
Supply from somewhere else.
So we need to think outside the box. But that's where we're asking the state, the responsibility of the states. They have to do something. We have an example of a state that is doing it. Other states, we all should be asking questions of those states to make sure there's at least energy mix so the people can have various alternatives. Because if you rely only on this one, we've seen the challenge with this one. That doesn't appeal to you?
The Jonathan administration brought in mini grids. World Bank brought in money. Nigerian electrification project, which a rural electrification agency handled. My brother, do a survey on renewable energy. We discussed it last week. The question is, do you know there was a time National Assembly members were providing solar street lights for their people? How many are functional today? You see, the problem here is, well, for instance, this one we are talking about now, just that the North, they have not had. This is the 8th grid collapse. What has been done? Nobody fired. No investigative panel set up. Should we just be looking at this 8th one? The 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th before the 8th, what was done? So what I'm trying to tell you is that there is need to really look at this sector in a serious manner, not just to get loan, get loan, get loan. We should even be asking, all this loan and all the money that has gone into the sector, how are they used? Where do they go to? Before you know it, somebody will tell you the equipment has been old, it was put there since long time ago, so that money will be brought to buy new one. But the ones that are there are being vandalized and destroyed. What is the program of the police? What is the program of the civil defense? What is the program of the SSS? Then how are the communities involved? What is the role of the demand side? The consumers that pay these bills? How comfortable are they? Is it just, my brother, democracy is about the people. And this privatization is about consumer satisfaction. So why will you be implementing, and that brings some worry, why will the international community be putting money in the power sector? But they don't care about the utilization. They are more interested in Nigeria becoming a debt nation. And then World Bank, I have told World Bank severally.
Is that what they said?
Yeah, I've told them. No, I'm not saying that's what they're interested in, but their body language shows that. I have told them, nobody gives money to a prodigal son.
All right.
If I give you money and you don't show me how you have managed and used it for result, I can't give you again. What if World Bank is related with government? Why are they not related with EFCC? ICPC, Consumer Protection Commission in the power sector, but you only hear the money they put in. Now, why is it that the community investment is never mentioned? If World Bank bring $1 million today, it will be all over media. But communities, what is the investment of communities? We need to find out. What have they invested?
All right, Mr. Prince Olukorie, we appreciate your coming on this morning. Thank you for your time. Our business morning on Sunrise really comes up now.
I wonder why you're laughing at me.